This is Doug DeMuro.
And I am Tyler Hoover of Hoovie's Garage, and this is Noodle. Hey, Noodle.
Yeah, it is. We're going to talk today about EVs and whether enthusiasts do or will care about EVs, electric vehicles. Ready? You have one.
Okay.
Okay, all right, let's do it. Before I get started, be sure to check out Cars and Bids, which is my enthusiast car auction website for cool cars from the modern era with free listings. You can list your cool car for free and auction it on Cars and Bids. And you should, because we've had some great sales lately, like this Aston Martin DB9 sold for $45,500. This Mercedes G63 AMG brought $72,000, and this Shelby GT500 sold for just over $91,000. If you're looking to buy or sell a cool enthusiast car from the modern era, the 1980s and up, Cars and Bids is the place to do it. With daily auctions, great selection, and free listings, check it out at carsandbids.com. Okay, so EVs, electric vehicles. Vehicles that you plug in and then they're electric and they use a battery and then they drive. Do you know about EVs? Has EVs reached Kansas?
Yes, I've had a few Teslas.
You've had a few Teslas. You have a Lightning F-150.
I did, yes.
You've already gotten rid of that.
I have, yes.
And why did you get rid of that? Did it have some sort of problem?
Well, yeah, I had a little bit of an issue with the political people running with my videos.
That's not why you sold it.
Yeah, well, also they were starting to depreciate, and I was sharing it with another person who was actually using it as a daily driver. So I bought half of it. He wasn't going to, he got on the list for the very first one, but then he couldn't really afford the whole thing or didn't want to buy the whole thing. I said, no, you can't let this go. It's the first one in town. Let's go in halves. I'll make videos on it. You drive it every day. We'll see what it's like. And wintertime, it didn't have enough battery range for him. He's a liquor rep driving all over town. The range got cut in half from the cold.
And so you guys got rid of it.
It's so far
behind. You bought
behind.
a standard range and the dude's a rep who's got to drive everywhere?
But it should have been more than enough. But I mean, then it turned into like 120 miles max range.
Yeah, someone asked me the other day, they live in the Bay Area, wanted to go up to Tahoe, and it's like 250 miles round trip. They're like, would a standard range be enough? And I was like, no.
No.
It was like 200 miles. I was like, you don't want to take that risk, believe me.
It's the battery heating and cooling, the management of all that Tesla has nailed so down to where the range is much less affected by these things versus Ford, where let's just put batteries in an F-150 and see what happens, which Ford probably doesn't like me very much right now, but yeah.
Let's talk about enthusiasts in EVs. There are some enthusiast EVs.
Rabid enthusiasts, yes.
Well, I mean car enthusiasts.
Okay.
I mean people like car enthusiasts who like our manual transmission, analog, underrated cars. Will we like electric vehicles someday? What about the Rivian? What about the i8?
No, the i8's already proving to be impossible to keep running, but with three-cylinder hybrid.
So all of this stuff that we like about cars, we no longer like it as long as it doesn't have a gas engine?
I just don't think that it's something long-term that is going to hold up to where people would even be able to bother to keep them running. I mean, we talk about
you say that about electric cars. They're 10 times more reliable than gas cars.
But the expensive components are kind of timing out, and then they're worth more than the car when a battery fails, when the drive motor fails, that kind of stuff.
Wait a minute. That happens to every domestic car that you grew up riding in the back seat of. Every Dodge Intrepid had its transmission fail.
Okay, but that's a Dodge Intrepid. That's not an enthusiast car.
Every Grand Caravan.
I guess.
Well, yeah, but
there's I guess the holy trinity where these like a P1's a $200,000 battery. A Ferrari's even more. Like you can't.
Yeah, but I guess my point is like this happens to other cars as we. Yeah, those cars are enthusiast cars. So won't people pay to replace those batteries and things?
No.
You think the P1s are going to just be bricked and people are going to be like, all right, you know what, actually, I'm all good.
I think
it's worth $3, but I'm just
McLaren may go bankrupt and then they won't be able to, service them anymore. Ferrari, you'll be enrolled in a special program where you pay the same amount of money every year no matter what. It'll be something obscene, right, just to do it. And
is that what they're going to do? I've heard that there's going to be some issues with LaFerrari batteries.
Yeah.
But I just think, I think of all the arguments I've heard against EVs, they're going to brick and then you'll never be able to use them again is the most unusual.
But there's also not a reason to, because, it's not going to be, this is the last of a certain kind of battery It's the last analog supercar, the last of this certain kilowatt battery, because the next one's going to be better because you're just turning a volume knob up.
But isn't that true of cars?
No, but this is an experience. Is there a different experience in an electric car other than range and all? Okay. I mean, they're not going to be under 2 seconds acceleration.
That is something that you're tapping into that I think is the main driver of me wondering about this and even posing this question in the first place, which is the experience of these electric cars. The i8, it looks cool. I mean, it did, right? Like, yeah. I know it's got
it's a great looking car.
It looked cool.
Yes.
And if that was a gas-powered car, there'd be some interest
with a weird back seat that actually fits people and all that. The design of it, yeah, it's decent. Yes.
Some of these other EVs look in whatever, they look cool. They have some cool, the Ioniq 5 is a cool looking car. They have some cool stuff.
Yes.
But when you drive them, they're somewhat similar.
Yes.
And so I do wonder, to me, it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a gas-powered car that makes these more special. It's not the engine, it's not the sound, it's not even the manual transmission. It's the fact that gives them distinct feelings when you use them. And that breeds car enthusiasts. But I wonder, these things do 0 to 60 in 2 seconds. The Rimac Nevera is going to be rare and special. Is that not enough?
But that's it? I mean, what more is 2 seconds? That's unbeatable, I imagine, without it being something insane.
So it's incredibly fast.
Right.
And it looks cool. Isn't that what we like about cars?
I guess there's no excitement to it to me, I suppose.
Just because of the powertrain.
Yeah. Right.
You need a gas engine to be excited.
It's not like an engineering feat of let's figure out this unique way of doing it. It is the same way of doing it versus, V10s, rotaries, diesels, turbos, not turbos. It's okay, here's the motor, here's the battery, here's the inverter.
That's a great point. And it kind of goes along with my thought about providing different experiences. Like an RX-8 has that rotary feel. This car has a V10. Formula 1 engine, by the way, underrated car. The
like a Taycan and a Tesla. Yeah, people say, the Taycan is
there's not some feat of excellence.
It's not, you think, okay, get the Taycan and it feels so different.
So here's the question then. Do you think that because of that, that's enough for enthusiasts not to?
I don't think there's going to be, and there'll be the kids jailbreaking Teslas probably, right? Of some kind, being able to do things. Oh look, I made my Tesla fart every time the turn signals change. It'll be, just stuff like that, or making it a little bit faster. But I mean, like the Tesla to me it reminds me, like the Model 3 reminds me a lot of a Saturn Ion.
Yeah, the way it looks.
The way it looks, the way, the center, just the one gauge there.
I've never heard that comparison before, but it is surprisingly accurate. Yeah,
but people are worshiping them, and they're a lot more money. But in a sense, it's just like an economical electric car is supposed to be.
Yeah, that is. But a Model 3 Performance handles pretty well, and it's fast.
It does. I've taken around Atlanta Motor Speedway at speed for a very, very long time, and it was faster than, say, when I was willing to go in my Viper.
Around Atlanta Motor Speedway?
Yeah.
That's an oval track?
Yeah.
You just been doing that?
It was a car track, yes.
Okay.
Yes. It was gas guzzlers for the price of a Tesla Model 3. And so we had a Viper, Continental Super Sport, and what was Freddie driving? Oh, a C6 Z06.
And it is interesting pairing those cars because it does hit you that like those cars do provide these vastly different feels and experiences. Mm-hmm. This is scary to me. Our future is electric cars. Maybe. So is it going to come down purely to like, this one looks better than this one has better range, whatever?
Yeah, which one is more...
And that's not enough.
More, trendy, I suppose, because Tesla's had a little bit of a falling star lately with the, all the things going on with Elon.
Do you not think like the Tesla Roadster is a cool car?
It is a very cool car. It's an exception. It is certainly an exception because it is a landmark. This is the first of something.
If we're going to accept that, are there more exceptions that are coming though? Like, will there be an F50 that's electric that someday we're like, wow, okay?
Well, I guess there was like the SLS electric drive.
Yeah, what was that?
That was a
that was so weird.
It was, it was crazy, amazing, but nobody cares anymore, right?
Yeah. But the future will come. These electric cars will have a usable range. They'll be fast. Won't there be an electric, like the next Porsche hypercar? Won't it be electric and amazing? The Taycan drives amazingly.
Sure. But, okay, now you're just talking about the ultra upper echelon of, you know, not what the car enthusiasm is of, you know, just guys getting, you know, Camaros and Mustangs and all.
Will that happen, do you think? Like, will there be guys on Woodward Avenue, you know, in a Tesla, you know, or a Chevy? I mean, it would be Chevy's there, but will that happen?
In a Spark? Yeah.
Well, you know, whatever it becomes.
Yeah, yeah. So, I don't think so. I think that it's just going. I mean, we're already seeing it more with like my daughter's like, "What's your favorite car?" Tesla. And I mean, it'll just be.
I do worry that the feel is lost a little, and you're right. Like the experience, like even that mid-engine versus front engine, and manual versus automatic, and all that stuff.
What was the first generation iPhone you had?
I don't know.
Mine was a 3G.
Probably around there.
I mean, oh man, I love using my old 3G iPhone. You know, just going back to the retro throwback here. It's just
that's a great point.
Plunking through this. Oh yeah.
That's a great point, and I'm going to use that later and not attribute you. Don't you think that a lot of normal people would say that about cars? Like, I had an 86 Hyundai XL as my first car, and now I'm driving a Range Rover, and I would never go back to that piece of crap.
But it's a novelty to get on and like dial a rotary phone, or we go into
Wouldn't
a phone.
Wouldn't it be a novelty to use an iPhone 3G?
No, because it does the same thing.
Maybe it's just not old enough yet.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like the E46 M3. It's like in that hellscape where it's just a used thing that you don't want yet, but it hasn't quite become cool yet.
When it's a retina display on our eyes, and we're like, man, remember the day when we had the phone in our hands or something?
Right. Like cool.
Yeah, a neural implant or something.
I hate. I watch so many car enthusiasts sit and be like, electric cars are going to kill car enthusiasm. I hate that.
It's not going to kill car enthusiasm, because there'll be people who like me, like worshiping like the GMT 400, 800 Chevy trucks and keeping them going forever. And I think that will help enthusiasm in that sense, but I don't think there's going to be a huge following.
Well, what I was going to say, I agree. And what I was going to say is, a lot of people say that, and I try to say, no, these cars are still cool, they're still fun, they're still fast, which they are. But I do wonder if you might be right that like it doesn't quite provide the breadth of experience that it once did. And let's be honest, like you get into an Ioniq 5 and you get into a BZ4X. These are cars you've never heard of, but they exist.
I don't follow you.
He doesn't get into new cars. Mm-hmm. Is there really a difference? It comes down to tech, interior design, exterior design. Won't there be like cool EVs start to come out and people kind of gravitate towards
Yeah, but I mean, that's just going back to sort of the retro thing with EVs, I suppose, but it's all going on that heritage, I guess. But will there be a following for it? There'll be little niches, but I think, but as far as car enthusiasm as we know it, it won't be the same. It won't be nearly what it was. It can't.
Because the tuning will be like a software change.
Right. It'll be hacking and jailbreaking, and if anything, manufacturers are really tightening up on that. Where like my Z06 Corvette, you can't tune.
That's true. You know, I will say
they don't want you to.
I will say, we get a lot of Model 3 submitted to us that are modded. Like lowered rims, wraps. So like there's still a crowd that's kind of into this. I don't want to say one way or another. I don't have an answer to this question.
Okay.
Because no, because I'm not sure. I really don't know. But like, if you would ask me 10 years ago, will there still be car enthusiasts? Of course, I would have said yes. But now that EVs are here, like it's cloudier for sure.
I don't know. I mean, already half of the segment of the population politically doesn't like it because one is pushing it so hard so you're already narrowing it there. You live in a bubble on a coast, and I live still in the heartland of Middle America where everybody is normal.
Can I ask you a question about the heartland people in EVs? Okay. Political for a second. I never do this, but I have a question. The conservatives don't like EVs, I guess, because they're electric.
They don't like it because the government is mandating it. Where if it's a practically usable thing, then it should replace electric cars. Let the market decide, not let's.
I agree. Hey, listen, I got 8 cars and none of them are electric, but they rail against these electric cars. But one of them is a 9,000-pound pickup truck that'll do 0 to 60 in 2.9.
I wish I got
that
those.
car. Screams like conservative dream to me. I don't understand. That's true of a lot of these. The Plaid, aren't these people all about going fast?
Right.
Plaid does 0 to 60 in 1.9. Like some of these electric cars, in my mind, I'm sitting here like, how can you guys? I get the like boring appliance ones that you plug in and go to work, and that looks like something the liberals on the coast would do. But like, what about the Plaid that does 0 to 60 in 1.9? That thing will kick your ass.
In the previous video about cars we regret, the Hummer EV was one that I didn't get to because I could have had the first one in town, and I thought, oh, 100 grand, that's stupid. Nobody, no, I'm not going to pay
Dude,
that.
I love that car.
And I have a very early ticket for the Cybertruck, which that'll come out, right? That'll come out first. So I'm gonna wait for the Cybertruck and not get the Hummer EV because it's hard. Yeah.
But what do these people think? What do these people think? Oh, I don't want an EV because EVs are little. They think of the Nissan Leaf when they think of an EV, an ugly hatchback that you drive to work.
Yes.
You know, and you do, like timidly.
Yes.
But like the Hummer EV,
and it costs like $80, whatever, to like fill up the electricity at like
the
the
Hummer
charger.
EV is a completely different situation. And there's a lot of them like that. I don't understand the hate for these vehicles. They're insane. They're so cool. The Hummer EV can rock crawl electrically and then out accelerate an Enzo.
Yes, but it'll be obsolete very quickly. And
True
it'll look the same. The current F-150 Lightning will be obsolete in probably a matter of months by the, because they
But
need to
isn't
upgrade
that
so
true of a
quickly.
lot of cars? A lot of 2000s.
But they won't be different now. I mean, like I said, it's not like oh my God, this is a moment in time where it was like this. It's like, no, the moment in time is 30 more miles of range and a little bit more acceleration. There's not like a, wow, it was really cool when it was like this. It's just really cool that it's just a little bit better. Unless there's some...
No, I agree.
Unless it's the arc reactor Tony Stark thing that comes out, or, the flubber car or something, and where's that...
But I think about that sometimes. Like, will EVs start to distinguish themselves in other ways? Like, will they start incorporating like weird stuff, like bouncy seats or some crazy thing just to make themselves be interesting because they know that the drivetrain isn't anymore? And I think about that a lot, actually. Like the Ioniq 5, I think part of the hook of that car is the way it looks. Is they knew, like, in order to distinguish ourselves from the many other EVs that all look the same, we got to make it look cool. And so they did. And maybe that's the kind of hooks that these EVs
There is one really cool, and I don't remember what it was, where, they had the electric platform as a platform, and then, there was the different bodies that you could choose from to put on there. Do you remember when they talked about that? It was over 10 years ago.
The Ineos Grenadier.
I don't know. I don't follow it, but
right, you're not into the
if you could 3D print and design your own body,
right,
that use the existing safety, all that stuff's already integrated, but then you get to bespoke design, 3D print your own car, and they're 3D printing cars, right now. There's a few things that could be really neat, where people are expressing themselves
that's one of the other reasons I don't want to answer this question just yet, because we don't know what's coming. Stuff might happen. Maybe they'll make a manual EV.
If they did there's no way. But if they did
it'd be like
stupid. But if they did custom coach work, like Duesenbergs and things, and really went all
like with the custom coach work. Regulations have killed all of that.
I know, but if they
did it for you, maybe you'd be into EVs. Okay, we don't have an answer for this question. He seems negative about EVs, even though he's owned several. I'm in the middle of the road. I've never had one. Thank you. Goodbye.